Good morning, EDLS 708 candidates. Dr. Palermo with a week 9 instructional video for you. Um, Again, when it's policy and the law and thinking about your roles as central office and superintendent leaders, um, I just can't pick up the newspaper or a magazine these days without coming across some topic that has sparked my interest in policy or the law. Uh, I'm reading Sunday's News and Observer, Saturday's News and Observer. North Carolina is still not providing many kids with sound basic education, the judge says in the News and Observer. This is the Leandro case. Leandro case, if you don't know, is very old, and that is dates back to 1994, and folks suing to say that some poorer districts in North Carolina were not receiving a sound basic education. Well, it's not fixed yet, and that's kind of interesting from a legal and a policy standpoint here in the state of North Carolina. Tomorrow, today, as I record this, it's Tuesday, March 13th. Tomorrow is a national day of walkout, both in memorial for the students at Parkland in Florida, and also a motivation, a movement to take action to make schools safer. Well, there's a national movement for students to walk out of class for a 17-minute period at 10 a.m. Wednesday, March 14th. What are you going to do in your district? Are you going to allow kids to walk out? Are you going to punish them or suspend them if they walk out? Do you have a district plan? Is it left up to individual principals? Here again is the nexus of law and policy and current events. And how are you as leaders reacting to these current events? And how are you doing it in ways that are defensible based on Supreme Court decisions? What do you know about student rights and responsibilities? What legal principles apply if students walk out of class? Is this a disruption of the school day? If students are told not to walk out and they do anyway, is that failure to comply? If your district is choosing to discipline these students, what legal grounds are you using to justify those suspensions, that disciplinary action? So again, you should have heard in some of our legal presentations a couple of weeks ago some principles that apply here. Think Tinker and think Hazelwood and those student free speech rights cases. At any rate, policy and law are happening in the news. That was my big point of this mini lecture. Fowler policy this week is Chapter 10, Policy Implementation. And we've talked a lot about the policy actors, the people who are bringing policy to you. But when it comes to implementing policy in schools and school districts, it's surprisingly difficult. And there are a lot of factors that go in. So when on 244, some barriers to successful implementation are mentioned. Teachers never really understood the change. Teachers didn't know how to use new pedagogy. Oftentimes, I think I've cited the example of Trailblazers Math, a new math series that was brought to our middle school. A lot of the teachers never really understood the new pedagogy that they were then to use, and so they're not using something they don't understand. Materials needed to establish open classrooms weren't available. Well, in some cases, it's resources and structures that implement that are barriers to implementation. The culture and institutional organization of the school were not consistent with the requirements of the new policy, or teachers became discouraged and lost their motivation to implement. So there's a lot of barriers to successful implementation. As you read Chapter 10, please see which of that resonates with you and think about reforms that you have been part of or asked to lead in schools and in districts. Again, lots of Lots of to-dos about things that are implementation problems identified by principals. 262, teacher time and energy, money, arranging staff development, ongoing communications, limitations of facilities, teacher morale or resistance. Yes, teachers can scuttle an implementation if they don't agree. On 273 is a case study, a reform in Tennessee that went awry. And then I want you in the discussion board for this week to think about an implementation of a policy or a program or something that you were asked to be involved with, and what went smoothly, what didn't go so well, why. So reflect and respond, thinking about what you've learned in Chapter 10 on policy implementation in your school or district, what went well, what didn't go well. Chapter 9, no. You are to read, Chapter 9 in school law and public schools. That is discrimination and employment. Don't do it. There are many factors, protected statuses for teachers and school system employees, and race, gender, ethnicity, disabilities. Don't discriminate. And it's really hard sometimes to. Now, you have to be very conscious of this stuff in order to avoid the pitfalls and make sure that you're not liable for some real or perceived discrimination, sexual discrimination, gender, pregnancy. Don't discriminate against someone who may be pregnant. Age discrimination, religious discrimination. Don't do it. So there you go. How are you applying your knowledge? PA. The other thing is that you should be working on a draft of your PA, your policy analysis paper. Get me something to read in Blackboard, please. And I tried to create a new assignment here, but I find that I'm somehow multiplying the number of assignment tabs. And so I'm going to try to stick with the assignment that's here on the left. This is a reminder to you to click the course assessment and submit your PA here, please. Okay. So, thank you. And it is due this week if we want to stay on track with that stuff. So what else is there for week 9? Do some reading, do some writing, and respond to your ethics scenario as well. Thank you. Have a wonderful week. Again, keep up with the news. Law and policy are happening all the time. So check out a story about a Florida teacher. We're going to come back in a little bit to teacher rights. I skipped ahead. Yeah, teacher rights and the Facebook, social media. Check it out. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.